What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Sideswipe the Boss, and welcome back to another tier list. I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these, but I'm back with another one. And today we are doing Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And yes, I was contemplating on if I should do this or not, but Star Wars: The Clone Wars is a goated show. I'm not even gonna explain myself. That show is raw. It's definitely important to the Star Wars canon. If you are a true Star Wars fan, then you have seen this show probably multiple times as much as I have. I'm currently probably on like my sixth or seventh go through of it again. So without further ado, let's just get into it. And I know I don't have every single character on here. Just bear with me. There's 7 seasons. There's probably hundreds of characters. I just picked out the main ones and a few side ones. And some of my personal favorites as well. So first up we have Jar Jar Binks. And Jar Jar actually wasn't unbearable like he was in the prequel trilogy, the prequel live action trilogy. He was an alright character to me in the Clone Wars. So he's going to go in the C tier. Probably end up at the bottom though. Next up, we have the boy Fives, the last remaining member of the 501st, or so we thought before season 7 came out. But yeah, he was one of the last members of the 501st. He was a pretty cool character. He figured out the conspiracy about how the Order 66 was going to happen and stuff. He was a pretty cool character to me, so he's going to go in the B tier. Next up, we have Satine. She was like the Duchess of Mandalore, and also a love interest to Obi-Wan, which was pretty cool. And she was a decent character. She didn't really do too much to be honest. I mean, she was only in a couple episodes a season, then she died in like season 5. But she was still a cool character, so I'm gonna put her in the C tier, but above Jar Jar Binks. Next up, we have C-3PO. And he was actually pretty funny. It's not in the very section how the live action is, where sometimes he's funny and sometimes he's not. He's actually genuinely funny, like every time he shows up. So he's gonna go in the B tier, but he'll probably end up at the bottom of it though. Next up, we have Aura Singh. I think that's what her name is. She was like that bounty hunter who was helping Boba out. And then, she had a beef with Ahsoka for a minute. She was just an alright character to me. I don't know why her character is so hyped up. She didn't really do that much, to be honest. And she wasn't even in the show for that long. So I'm going to put her in the D tier. Next up, we have Barriss Offee. She's like a friend to Ahsoka. And then she framed her for like the murder at the end of season 5. She was a pretty decent character. I mean, she also didn't show up too much, but she was part of season 5, and season 5 is a goated season. So, and she was one of the reasons why it was goated. So she's going to go in the B tier, but probably in between these two. Next up, we have Cad Bane, and Cad Bane was awesome. The only reason he's not going in the S tier is because he didn't show up too often. I mean, he showed up like a couple times a season. If he was in the show more, he'd probably be in the S tier. But he's an awesome character, so he's going to go in the A tier. Next up, we got the main man himself, my favorite Star Wars: The Clone Wars character, Captain Rex. He's just an awesome character, He's one of the best original characters that Star Wars has ever made. So he's definitely going in the S tier. He's an awesome character. He has awesome storylines. And he shows a lot of emotion too that most clones don't show. And I really like that about his character. So S tier for Captain Rex. Next up we have Pong Krell. I think that's what his name was. He was a villain in that season 4 storyline. He technically wasn't really a villain, but he was just like a hero whose morals is out of whack and stuff, and Captain Rex had to go against him. He was one of my favorite parts of season 4, and the little, 4 lightsabers, but they were like double bladed each. It was cool, so he's gonna go at the top of the B tier for me. Next up, we have Yoda, and Yoda didn't do too much in the Clone Wars. I mean, he did have that one episode in season 1 where he did stuff. He also had that cool storyline at the end of season 6 where he was like, trying to get in tune more with the Force and stuff. I really like that. So he's going to go at the top of the B tier. B tier is already getting long. Next up, we have Count Dooku, and this Count Dooku is way, way, way more entertaining than his live action counterpart. No disrespect to the actor who played him in the live action, but this Count Dooku, he has way more storylines. He's a much more threatening bad guy, and he's has more interesting storylines. So he's gonna go in the A tier, but below Cat Bane. Next up, we have Pre Vizsla. He was like the leader, like Death Watch. He was a pretty cool character when he was around. He wasn't around for too long. He faced off against Obi-Wan like once or twice. Then he got killed by Darth Maul after working with Darth Maul and getting finessed and cheated out by Darth Maul. But he was still a cool character nonetheless, and voiced by the main man himself, Jon Favreau. So he's going to go in the B tier, but just below Pong Krell. Next up, we have Mace Windu, and Mace Windu is also kind of like Yoda. He doesn't do a lot in the show. He does have a few storylines which are pretty cool, but he's also kind of like, just like the wisdom in the ear of the main character. So he's going to go at the top of the C tier for me. Next up, we have Rush Clovis, and he's an irritating character. I really don't like his character. He's just there to mess with Anakin, trying to get in Padme's pants and stuff like that. So he's going to go in the F tier. I just didn't really like his character. And he kept switching sides often. It was irritating. Next up, we have Emperor Palpatine, or, Chancellor Palpatine in the show. And he was cool. He was just, there watching over everything, making sure everything fell into place. Then he did show up in like season 5, and he had an awesome fight scene against Darth Maul and Savage Opress. That was cool. But he didn't do too much as well. So he's also going to go in the C tier, but below Satine. Next up, we got Lux, I think his name was. I think he was like a separatist at first. His mother was like a separatist senator. Then, after he found out the separatist corruption, he joined like this rebellion on this other planet. He had a thing for Ahsoka too, so I guess that was fine. But he was just an okay character to me. He didn't really do too much, and he didn't really serve the plot that much. So he's going to go in the D tier, but above Aura. Next up, we have Cody. And Cody wasn't really, shown off as much as Rex was. He was still cool when he did show up, but he wasn't really showing off as much. So he's going to go in the C tier, but probably below Palpatine. Next up, we have Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is a cool character, just like his prequel counterpart. So he's going to go in the B tier, but I'll just put him above Pong. Next up, we have Padme, and Padme is actually a good character in this show. She has some pretty cool storylines, She's not really just there as a love interest. She has her own storylines, has her own battles and stuff like that. And I really like that about her character in this show. So she's going to go at the top of the C tier for me. Next up, we have the good old boy Hondo Ranaka. And although he didn't really do too much on the fighting aspect, he was one of the funniest characters of the show. And that's where he's going to get the most points at. It was always a joy seeing him. He was funny, charismatic and stuff like that. And always halfly drunk too. And it was awesome. So he's also going to go in the C tier, but I'll put him in the middle of the C tier, right here. Next up, we have R2, and R2 is goated, no cap. I want all the smoke behind R2, S tier for sure. Next up, we have Ahsoka Tano, and Ahsoka Tano is my second favorite character of the show. She's awesome, she has these great storylines over the years. She has great character development, and it shows throughout the years, especially in Season 7. Season 7 was probably her best season yet, especially the last 4 episodes. She was top-notch. And I can't wait to see her in The Mandalorian, too, in live-action version. But she's going to go in the S tier, but just below Captain Rex. But still, she's a great character. Next up, we have Saw Gerrera. He was also in that storyline. in season 5 with Lux, where they were, fighting to take back the city from the Separatists. He was an alright character. He did a little bit more than Lux in that storyline, but not too much. So he's going to go at the bottom of the C tier. Actually, I'll just put him above Jar Jar. Next up, we have Boba Fett, and he was annoying. He was an annoying little brat. I hated him so much. He's at the bottom of the F tier. Just an annoying character. Next up, we have Anakin Skywalker, and he was awesome in this show. He was probably my third favorite character of the show. He was just awesome to me in this show. Much better than his live-action counterpart. So he's going to go at the top of the A tier. Next up, we have Mother Talzin. She showed up in season 4, I think, when Asajj came back to her to find out she was a nice sister. Then she helped Savage, and then I think she also helped Darth Maul once too, before I think she either died or her energy got transferred or somewhere. She was kind of creepy, not gonna lie, but she did help with some major plot points. So she's gonna go in the mid C tier. Next up, we have Darth Maul, and making a correction from my previous statement, Darth Maul is probably my third favorite character of the show, making Anakin number 4, because Darth Maul, he had such a glow up in this show. I mean, going from just being a 1 or 2 sentence person in the Phantom Menace to becoming a key villain in this show, it was awesome. When he showed up, he was cool, and then he just got better as the show went along. Especially at the end in season 7, he was awesome. So he's definitely going in the S tier. Sorry, R2, but I'm still want all the smoke behind you. Next up, we have Steela, and she was also part of that storyline in season 5 with Saw and Lux, and she did the most in that storyline, and she was pretty cool nonetheless. So she's gonna go at the bottom of the B tier. It was sad when she died, though. Next up, we have Bo-Katan, and she was a part of Death Watch at first, but then, after Darth Maul took over, she was like, you know what, let me actually fight for Mandalore this time. Well, she was fighting for Mandalore all the time, but she didn't believe in, Satine's rule or something like that, even though she was her sister, which was a plot twist for sure. But she was a pretty cool character. I mean, she didn't really do too much. I mean, she was only in season 5, and I think she showed up in season 4 once. I'm not sure, but she was in season 5, but also in that storyline in season 7, which was pretty cool. So she's gonna go in the C tier, but I put her just above her sister. Next up, we have Savage Opress, and just like his brother, he's goated. He's also a pretty cool original character. He's an awesome original character, but he's only going to go in the A tier just because he wasn't really in the show for too long. If he was in the show longer, he'd probably be higher, but he's going to go in the A tier just below everybody else in there. Next up, we have General Grievous, and just like Count Dooku, General Grievous is way, way better than his live-action counterpart. Also in some awesome storylines, he has some awesome fight scenes. And even though he only showed up in one scene in season 7, that look was awesome. I mean, updated and everything. So he's also going to go in the A tier, but below Savage. And finally, we have Asajj Ventress, the apprentice of Count Dooku, and also, a nice sister. And, she was in the show for quite a while. I believe the last time she showed up was in season 5 when she was telling the truth about how Ahsoka was innocent and stuff like that. But she's a pretty cool character. I mean, she got the double lightsabers. I like that. So she's going to go at the bottom of the B tier for me. So that's the list, folks. F tier, we have Rush, Clovis, and Boba Fett. D tier, we have Lux and Aurra Sing. C tier, we have Padme, Mace Windu, Bo-Katan, Satine, Hondo, Mother Talzin, Chancellor Palpatine, Commander Cody, Saw Gerrera, and Jar Jar Binks. B tier, we have Yoda, Obi-Wan, Pong Krell, Pre Vizsla, Fives, Barriss, C-3PO, Steela or Stella, and Asajj Ventress. A tier, we have Anakin, Cad Bane, Count Dooku, Savage, and General Grievous. And in the S tier, we have Captain Rex, Ahsoka Tano, Darth Maul, and R2-D2. Alright, y'all, so that's the list. Let me know in the comment section down below what your tier list is. Would you change mine? Would you change it a little bit? Would you change it a lot? Or would you keep it the same? Just let me know in the comment section down below. And also let me know what tier list you would like to see next. And if you did enjoy this video, just hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. And subscribe to the channel if we're new. We're on the journey to 1,000 subscribers, so help me get there, y'all. The support would be very appreciated. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.